I think there's been a huge amount of misinformation and people not understanding what the new grounded fighter is. The reason that grounded fighter was put into the way it is now with both hands is we have a situation where fighters were allowed to put one hand down before, and taking a position that they weren't in a really good position, but they could neutralize what somebody else could do just by placing a hand down and still protect themselves with the other. And it was that when we put the unified rules together, we went off of boxing and said, well, look at a down fighter in boxing is any part of their body touches the ground, they're down. You know, to get an 8 count, we'll say that MMA, same thing. Well, the fighters are smart enough to utilize that and say, oh, I can do something that actually makes this good for me. And so the whole part of the whole new rule is we don't want fighters to put their hands down to the ground. We don't want it at all. And so we're telling them, look, if you're on your feet and you want to make yourself grounded by putting your hands down, it would take you putting both hands down to make yourself grounded. So don't ever do that. If you want to be grounded, we want you to take your knee, put your knee down, have your hands up, available to protect yourself. Any body part that touches the ground, and we've had big shows where the commentators don't understand what the grounded fighter is. Any part of the body, arm, elbow, shoulder, butt, back, knee, anything that touches the ground that is not just the hands and feet makes the fighter grounded, and they cannot legally be kicked or kneed to the face. That whole position change is to make it safer for the fighters. It is not to endanger them, and it will not endanger them. What we have is people not getting in that position, so we have someone over the top that doesn't see the hand go down at knees. When the person's thinking, I can't be kneed, they can now feel that, oh, they either went all the way down or they're down on their knee. They can feel the difference. It makes it safer for the fighters.
When you see sometimes fighters like grabbing the cage and they're just warned, but a point's not taken, or their hands are poking out and they're given that warning, but a point's not taken. What, as a referee, do you feel like should be the process? Is it a warning and then a point, or what's the process?
Here's the problem: is everyone wants black and white, and there's no black and white in this world. This world is made up of gray. Okay, and if you sit there and you have something where you say, well, anytime someone grabs the cage, there should be a point taken. People are going to be very upset with how many points are taken, because sometimes people inadvertently, as their hand's going out, their hand hooks the cage. Oh, I'm going to take a point. We would inadvertently be doing horrible things to the sport. What you've got to look at is the intent of the foul and what was the effect. We have many times a guy does grab the cage as he's being taken down. He grabs it, and he ends up down in that position anyways, and we warn because he ended up where he was going. But you'll watch and see if they're going and he's getting taken down, and that cage grab stops the takedown. The point can be taken right away. That guy right there, I took a point right away from him doing it, and it just depends on the effect. What effect does it have in the fight? If a foul doesn't have a big effect in a fight, taking a point has a big effect. And so I'm going to affect the fight greatly by something that affected it very little. That's not smart. And you got to be smart and judicious in the way you do things.